Welcome to episode 172 of the Microsoft Cloud IT Pro podcast, recorded live on April 3, 2020. This is a show about Microsoft 365 and Azure from the perspective of IT pros and end users, where we discuss a topic or recent news and how it relates to you. In this episode, Ben and Scott cover recent Microsoft 365 SMB plan news with the renaming of the product SKUs from Office 365 to Microsoft 365, as well as the release of Cloud Voice for these SMB plans worldwide. Everywhere we are recording from our homes where we are now isolated.
I have officially
isolated.
Well, I've been under not like a mandatory quarantine, but I haven't left my house in 3 weeks, 3-4 weeks now. It's been a...
Yes, you have been quarantined. And in those 3 weeks, you don't even remember some of our conversations. I don't know how I feel about that, Scott.
I don't even remember 2 of those weeks. So it's been a spell, you know?
Yes, you've had a bit of a rough time pulling through this. But it sounds like, although like a week and a half ago, you thought you were pulling through and then you kind of tanked for a week there again. And now you think you're actually on the up and up?
I'm getting there. Like, my goal is to not join meetings with a cough, which I failed spectacularly in this one. So it's
oh yes, that was the very first thing.
It's a thing, you know. You take in like a deep breath and whew. Well, let me tell you what's going around. Like, if you get this thing, it does a number on your lungs, like having cinder blocks sitting on top of your lungs. And I'm probably like, let's see. When did I start my pneumonia meds? So I finished up a Z-Pack and some other pneumonia meds probably about 4 days ago now, 4 or 5 days ago.
Okay.
And there is still, you know, this just like latent pressure on the side. It's amazing. It really does a number on you. So I was thinking I should give up on voice and go to video or something like that. And, you know, coming out of this funk and trying to buy a webcam, like that was a nigh upon impossible thing. It's like, oh, hey, this thing's $200. That's kind of expensive, but it's got Windows Hello and it'll let me log into my computer. That's kind of cool. Maybe I should go buy one of those. And I look on Amazon and they're all, you know, $500 used on Amazon. I'm like, what is going on? Go to Best Buy. Nope, they don't exist. They're sold out everywhere. I think.
So are you making an announcement? Does that mean we're going to start doing video for our podcast?
Well, I just wanted it for like Teams meetings. I started this new project and one of the people on the team is in Turkey and I was hoping to be able to better connect with them. But it's like, yeah, no, can't do that.
Yeah, wait till you pull through all this. We should start doing some video every once in a while. We did mention that the other day.
I was messing around, and then, like I said, I saw that the camera would let me do Windows Hello, and I was like, well, that's cool because my laptop is always clamshelled, so that's not doing it for me over there.
Were you looking at the Logitech Brio?
Yeah, the Brio.
I know that one does Hello.
Yeah, the Brio 4K one.
Nice. Yeah, I had the same thing. I just looked for webcams the other day too. I was more out of just curiosity, and I was like, Amazon, they're all double the normal price, and Logitech, like, I think your best bet right now is going straight to Logitech because they're probably keeping stock, but they're not even in stock.
Yeah, you can't buy from Logitech, right? You click the button, it says find a partner, and then it sends you to Best Buy and Amazon and things like that.
Oh, it does? I was thinking you could buy straight from Logitech.
Maybe at one point you could, and then they shut it down, so who knows?
Maybe they're shipping them all out to all their partners now. Maybe they got rid of their local store. I can't remember. I don't know. Outlook add-ins are a great way to improve productivity and save time in the workplace, and Sperry Software has all the add-ins you'll ever need. The Save as PDF add-in is a bestseller and is great for project backups, legal discovery, and more. This add-in saves the email and attachments as PDF files. It's easy to download, easy to install, and Sperry Software's unparalleled customer service is always ready to help. Download a free trial at sperrysoftware.com, SPERRYSOFTWARE.com, and see for yourself how great Save as PDF is. Listeners can get 20% off their order today by entering the code CLOUDIT. That's CLOUDIT, CLOUDIT, all one word at checkout. Sperry Software, work in email, not on email. Should we talk about topics today? Is like part of me likes just talking about this just because I want to document the whole COVID Corona thing. I've started just jotting notes down every day because, someday your grandkids are going to ask you about this.
Yeah. It's time for when you're old and senile and need to publish your thoughts. I got it.
Yeah, exactly. But I have seen more and more too that, obviously the older people are more susceptible to it. They're saying 65 plus. But even in Jacksonville, I don't know if you've heard it, but one of the former Jaguars players, Tony Baselli, got it. And he's only 47, and he was in the ICU for 2 weeks due to it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it rips through you. Don't mess around. The whole social distancing thing and everything is totally true. I was very happy to see here in the South, things tend to run a little bit slower. The governor of Georgia was on TV, this week saying, I didn't know asymptomatic people could shed the virus. It's dude, people have been talking about that for 3 months, and it's him and his Secretary of Health up at the podium. It's all right, so good. You're both not the smartest people. Got it. Good. Awesome. Have fun, Georgia. And Florida is kind of the same way, right? We're probably about 4 weeks behind the curve. We just started our stay-at-home stuff this week.
Yep.
But of course, exemptions for religious institutions and things like that. It's most of the breakouts that you're seeing in the South tend to be coming from funerals and churches and things like that. Maybe it's not a good idea to get people together right now. Keep going with the online church. And
did you see the list?
It'll be okay.
Yeah, that's what we've been doing. Our church has been online only now for 3 or 4 weeks. They pretty much followed Trump's guidelines. As soon as Trump was saying social isolating, they're oh, let's do all online. We'll stream it, stay at home. So I think we're going on our we're going on our 4th Sunday now of church. Yeah, 4th Sunday of church from home. So, but the list of exemptions kind of surprised me. I read down and I'm so nothing really changed except I can't go visit my friends.
Yes.
Based on that list of exemptions for Florida.
Yeah, pretty much. It's slowly but surely. We'll get through this thing. I think it's going to be an emphasis on the slowly stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, Microsoft keeps pushing out updates.
Yeah. And they keep renaming things or rebranding things.
Or just actually officially rebranding things that people have been confused about the branding of for a while.
Yes. And then rebranding them in such a manner that people continue to be confused about them.
Yeah. So the big one this week was Office 365 business plans. Only business plans. So this does not apply. If you're on enterprise, if you followed our advice and just did E1, E3, E5 of the enterprise plans, this does not affect you, which kind of added to the confusion. But those Office 365 business plans are now officially going to be rebranded on April 21. So a week and a half after this, you'll hear this, to Microsoft 365. So Office 365 Business Essentials becomes Microsoft 365 Business Basic. Office 365 Business Premium is going to be Office 365, Microsoft 365 Business Standard. So be careful there because your Office 365 Business Premium is now a business standard. And Microsoft 365 Business is Microsoft 365 Business Premium. So a premium became a standard and just a normal business became a premium. Mm-hmm. And then Office 365 Business, and this is the only one that I guess affects enterprises. Office 365 Business and Office 365 Pro Plus are both going to become Microsoft 365 apps. And where necessary, they will use the for business and for enterprise to distinguish between Microsoft 365 app plans.
Which drives you back to why not just keep 2 plans? It might be better or okay.
Well, so the Microsoft 365, I don't know why they don't just combine the desktop apps into a single plan, why we need to differentiate between for business and for enterprise with that one. I think there were a couple features in there, but honestly, for desktop apps, I'm just do one plan. I don't know.
I wonder if some of that is another announcement that they had along the way too, which was recognizing, I think Microsoft always knew these people were here. They introduced a bunch of new plans for Microsoft 365 Personal and Family. So there's some new subscription services coming on that side, kind of like bringing M365, or at least the Microsoft 365 branding, to the masses. Like, you no longer need to be an enterprise and have an existing relationship with Microsoft, billing and invoicing and all that kind of stuff to be able to get in on the Microsoft 365 game.
Yeah. That could be. So should we run through kind of what's included with these plans if people aren't familiar with them?
Yeah. Let's get through that whole Office 365 to M365 thing.
M365 one.
And today it's kind of confusing because all they did was announce the name changes. Like you said, these plans aren't officially out until April 21st. Although I've seen in a couple blog posts, people have been writing different dates in there too. So the 21st is a Tuesday. I've seen a couple blog posts on the tech community where people are talking about the 24th, which is a Friday, which makes a little more sense. I'm actually surprised it's not the 20th or the 27th, do it on a Monday kind of thing. But what do I know?
Yeah, we'll have to see. The article that says the 21st came from Jared Sparato. Spataro, not Sparato. I should read. Jared Spataro. It's early on a Friday morning. Who is the corporate VP for Microsoft 365. So you would hope he has the date right. The other thing I can see is, I don't know how this affects deployment across all of the SKUs. It may honestly take from the 20th until the 24th for this update, because I'm imagining this has to roll out across a bunch of servers.
Oh, yeah. So there's going to be some propagation that goes on. And I think the funny thing will be for those who don't read their message center or they don't pick up those changes. I can think of some organizations I've worked with where the procurement department is the one of it, in charge of licensing for Office 365. And all those entitlement names are going to change in the admin portal, and they're going to go, huh? What just happened?
Right. Yeah, exactly. So back to these plans being changed and what's included. If you haven't listened to some of ours, we've talked about them, or if you haven't looked at these, that Office 365 Business Essentials, that's going to be Microsoft 365 Business Basic. So going forward, after April 21st, Microsoft 365 Business Basic is going to be just your online services, your SharePoint, your Exchange, your OneDrive, all the online-based services. It's not going to include any of those desktop applications, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, OneNote. OneNote's not technically included, or Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. So if you're just looking for the online stuff, just looking for the services, maybe you already bought the desktop applications, maybe you don't care about it, that's going to be Microsoft 365 Business Basic going forward. Your Office 365 Business Premium, that is turning into Microsoft 365 Business Standard. So going forward, after April 21, Microsoft 365 Business Standard is going to be the online services and your desktop applications. So Exchange, SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams, all of those, and then including Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook for your desktop. And then that Microsoft 365 Business, that's going to be Microsoft 365 Business Premium, is the one that includes the additional security features. This includes things like conditional access, like a subset of those Azure AD Premium features. So I can't remember what else was in there. Conditional access, that's always the big one. But then your online services, as well as your desktop applications, as well as Windows 10. So this one is the one that was traditionally just a Microsoft 365, where it combines security features, online services, and desktop applications. So that's now your M365 Business Premium. And then, like we said, Microsoft 365 Apps is just the desktop applications without any of those online services. So in a nutshell, I mean, it kind of makes sense. It's nice to see them, as painful as this might be, it's nice to see them actually making a clear change to the Microsoft 365 naming. Because before, people got so confused between Office 365 and Microsoft 365. Just having Microsoft 365 in that business space hopefully will clear up some confusion once people get used to the name change.
Hopefully.
But what is not changing is Office 365 for Enterprise. That's still going to be Office 365 E1, E3, E5. First line workers is still going to be Office 365 F1. All the education is still going to be Office 365 A1, A3, A5. And government is still your G1, G3, G5. I am going to predict right now that by the end of the year, those will all be renamed as well. They just didn't want to do it all at once.
Yeah.
We've seen the writing on the wall. What do you do when you go, like when you read Microsoft's marketing materials? Do you ever see Office 365 anywhere?
No, to be honest, that's a tough one. Like, working with content teams at Microsoft, things like that, I find that I don't even know what to talk about with my customers. Like, I fall into the trap of, I just preface everything with Office 365 / Microsoft 365 and
me too.
Hope for the best, because it is this kind of very wishy-washy thing in the middle, particularly with enterprise customers. Like, which way do they go? Do they include their desktop licensing? Is it just Office? What's happening along the way? So here's an interesting one for you. As part of this change and going from, say, like Office 365 Pro Plus to Microsoft 365 apps for enterprise, there's the entitlement piece, which is kind of, what manifests in the admin portal and on your invoice and things like that. But then there's the actual product on your desktop that you deploy. Office 365 Pro Plus.
Yep.
What's going to happen to the product? Is the name going to change? Because you would think it would actually have to change on like client desktops as well,
right,
to come through to accommodate that. So they do have some guidance out there about what's going to happen as far as name changes on the actual client side and what you might need to think about. So if you're doing Office deployments with ODT today, with that Office deployment tool that we talked about a bunch, it is still going to be called O365 Pro Plus Retail within the configuration files there. But if you are doing other things like System Center, say you're using like Configuration Manager to manage updates, you are going to have to change some of the logic for your ADRs in Configuration Manager, because they're not going to be called Office 365 client updates anymore. They're going to be Microsoft 365 apps update. And then, of course, there's probably going to be registry changes and things like that as well, which potentially impact not just clients and customers, but also ISVs and people who build add-ins around Office and all that.
Yeah, like there's a bunch, because it kind of goes back to how you still see in random places too. When you're working within SharePoint or Skype for Business, Teams, some of those you still every once in a while see like Skype for Business pop up in some named feature buried under the covers, or I've even seen OCS pop up in different places before, or MCO. I think MCO wasn't that a part of that whole communicator suite? I think that's one of the SKUs somewhere. So I'm sure there's going to be places where you see Office 365 pop up when it's really Microsoft 365. And as you were talking, now you are also going to have instances where you have Office 365 for Enterprise, E3 or E1 deployed, with Microsoft 365 apps for Enterprise. That's not going to be confusing.
No, not at all.
Because technically, Microsoft 365 or Enterprise is one of those enterprise SKUs in that whole stack of plan names that aren't changing, except for Office 365 Pro Plus. But again, I would have loved to see them do Enterprise at the same time. I'm guessing it's not something they wanted to bite off all at once. But I mean, it's kind of been the writing on the wall for a while that the Office 365 name is going to go away and it's going to become Microsoft 365. I think by the end of the year, we're going to see this across the board, across all the plans. The enterprise ones probably have a little bit more thought and work that go into how they do it, as well as you're affecting much, much larger customers.
Yeah, I mean, however it works out, as long as there's kind of clarity within the SKUs, it's always hard to go through these transitions, especially as the number of customers grows. Ultimately, you're going to have a bunch of folks who are just going to slip through the cracks no matter what. it'd be nice to have it all lined up and kind of where it needs to be.
Yep. As IT professionals in the cloud era, sometimes it feels like we don't speak the same language as the rest of the organization. So when stakeholders from finance or other departments start asking about a specific project or team's Azure costs, they don't always realize how much work is involved in obtaining that information, sifting through cluttered CSVs and a complex mess of metadata in order to manually create custom views and reports. It's a real headache. On top of helping you understand and reduce your organization's overall Azure spend, ShareGate Overcast lets you group resources into meaningful cost hubs and map them to real-world business scenarios. This way, you can track costs in the way that makes most sense with your corporate structure, whether it's by product, business unit, team, or otherwise. It's a flexible, intuitive, and business-friendly way of tracking Azure infrastructure costs, and it's only available in ShareGate Overcast. Find out more on sharegate.com/ITPro. Along with this, there was another announcement, and I have not seen this in any of the Microsoft blog posts yet. It slipped out this morning on Twitter via Tom. I have no idea. How do you pronounce Tom's last name? I've followed him. Tom Arbuthnot, I think. Is Arbuthnot? Is the T silent? Anyways, we'll just say Tom's blog. In the SMB space, one of those previous shortcomings that existed was voice for SMB plans. If you wanted to do voice telephony with Teams or with your Office 365 plans, you had to be on Enterprise. Microsoft has now opened up the Microsoft 365 Business Voice SKU to over 70 countries via partner resellers. So all those CSPs, it said this was previously bundled, was only available. Oh, it was only available in the UK and Canada. That's why I never saw it here. I'm not in the UK or Canada. So all these UK, Canada folks that have had this, now it is showing up for everybody where Microsoft PSTN audio conferencing is available, except Australia. Sorry for all of you down in Australia. Hopefully it's still coming. But this gives you an add-on SKU now to those SMB, and he wrote Office 365 plans, SMB Microsoft 365 plans that have Teams. You can now do cloud-based telephony, Microsoft PSTN dial-in audio for your conferences, user phone numbers and calling plans. I'm guessing those calling plans are going to be the same. I was looking through the rest of this, the same domestic calling plans or international calling plans, but now you can go add enterprise voice to your Microsoft 365 business plans via this add-on SKU. Frankly, I'm surprised it took this long. I see this as being the bigger telephony space for Microsoft than enterprises. I see this being a great SMB solution. I don't see a lot of enterprises doing it.
No. Well, they fall into a different bucket anyway, right?
Right.
Like once you get above that whole 300 user thing, it starts to change a little bit because you can't even buy more than 300 licenses for those SMB plans or business essentials or, whatever they're being called.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I just don't see a lot of, I have one customer that is doing full-blown voice in M365 enterprise plans, but they're right kind of on that SMB borderline. I can't remember exactly how many licenses they have, but I think they just tip to the other side of SMB. I think they're just over 300. I just don't see a lot of enterprises using the enterprise or the voice features in Office 365 when it comes to PSTN and call routing and call queues and all of that. So I'm really glad to see this coming to business plans, except that it takes away one more of our reasons why people should get enterprise instead of business.
Yeah. Well, I think it's hard for enterprises, like when it comes to the calling plans, because of the limited availability for countries where, calling plans are available. So there's only 2 handfuls of countries. I think it's like 10 or 11 where you can actually get calling plans versus things like audio conferencing, on the other hand, is, in 100 plus countries with local dial-in numbers and all that kind of stuff. So at stark reality is you're still better off probably like in the majority of the world sticking with your local telco and being in your local telco exchanges and having, doing cloud PBX and having other ways to route numbers and things like that. But, if you're not in the United States or Ireland or Germany or France or Canada or Belgium, then good luck, right? Like going out and getting a number, because it can't happen. And then in some cases, like I know, I don't know how it is today, because it's been, probably a couple of years since I've touched it now, but even like number portability when you were coming into the Office 365 calling plans, or like Microsoft calling plans rather, was pretty rough. Like I couldn't port out of some telcos, so my users were going to lose their numbers, and that was a non-starter.
Yep. I haven't ported in a while either, so I don't know how it has, because once I ported my numbers in, it's not something I do regularly, is port a bunch of numbers into Microsoft 365. Not one of my daily activities.
Nor is it something someone would want to do regularly. That is a painful process.
It is. I was able to port a bunch of mine from different places. And once they ported in, it did work. I think I remember too, when I ported mine in, they couldn't give you an exact time it would port in because it was all automated. So they're like, sometime in the next 24 hours, it'll port in, which again, for enterprises or big companies, that can kind of be hard. You kind of want to know when that cutover is going to happen, or be able to schedule it to happen at a certain time. Because if you're getting a massive amount of phone calls, you don't want that port to just randomly go off in the middle of your business day or something. Again, they may have changed that since I've done number ports. Maybe we should go try it. Maybe I should go find a number to port just to see how it's changed.
I doubt it's changed much. Like it's still the same technology to move all that stuff around on the back end.
Yeah, but they could have maybe added some scheduling, or at least let me schedule it to happen over a weekend, or I want it to happen in this 24-hour period, not just a random 24-hour period, and you're going to tell me when it is. I don't know. But yeah, that's a bunch of that Microsoft 365 SMB news that kind of came out this last week.
Just a little bit.
Just a touch. We could probably wrap it up with that today. I have some other ranty stuff, but that'll take longer than I think people want to listen to today. And we've been having some longer episodes. We have strayed away from our goal of 30 minutes the last few. So we can make sure to keep this one under 30.
I say we go that path.
All right. I like it. Well, go get better, Scott. Go drink some tea with honey, cough drops, whatever else you need to clear up this nastiness. So
I may single-handedly be keeping Fisherman's Friend and Ricola in business. And I've given up on asking how much menthol is too much menthol to take down in a single sitting.
As long as you're still kicking, we're good.
I'm kicking. Kicking it. Yeah, thanks for that.
All right. Hey, do what I can. All right. Well, go enjoy your day, Scott. Get better. Stay safe at home, and hopefully we will actually get to see you again. Maybe we'll have to do some video once you can get a webcam.
I've got the notify me clicked on all the websites, so we'll see.
All right. I'll let you know if I notice any pop up anywhere.
All right, man. Thanks.
All right. Talk to you later, Scott. If you enjoyed the podcast, go leave us a 5-star rating in iTunes. It helps to get the word out so more IT pros can learn about Office 365 and Azure. If you have any questions you want us to address on the show or feedback about the show, feel free to reach out via our website, Twitter, or Facebook. Thanks again for listening, and have a great day.